Fred and Rose West, extraordinary. As far as the actual subject matter and the murders, they were probably some of the most horrific, because there have been a lot of bad ones. Some of them, they don't even want to have some of the things on the midday news because they're so horrible. Then at some point they were going to be giving evidence, and I remember I was in the ladies with Fred and Rose's daughter. I kind of wanted to say something nice to her, like, well done, I'm glad you're doing so well now, but then I thought, no, I'm not going to say anything. I just thought
because it's not
your
place.
What can you say? It's not my place. She doesn't know me. And the barrister who represented Rose West, he didn't want Rose West to go in the witness box. He said the worst thing you can do is go into the witness box, because once you're in the witness box, you can be torn to pieces in ways you have no idea. These people think they're so smart, they can go in the witness box, they can outwit anyone. No, you cannot. Don't even try to pit yourself against a lawyer. They know what to do, and your ass is going to be grass.
Harold Shipman, another one that you did, Dr. Death.
Harold Shipman, yes.
So he was a serial killer of mostly older women.
Harold Shipman got away with so much being a doctor, and so many people loved him. But his personality, the first time I saw him, he looked like a grouchy, fussy, arrogant man. The first time I saw him, he had a bit of a tummy. He had his arms crossed. He was grouchy and angry that someone would even accuse him of something like this. We had also had the James Bulger trial there.
You did that one too?
I did that one too. Same building, same courtroom.
And the James Bulger case, that's different again because the accused were children. Were you even allowed to sketch them?
Sketching children always had a restriction that you can't show their faces. Their identity has to be a secret. And I'd
But
done
the whole
some
nation
other
had seen those two
cases
images of them already on the front of every tabloid newspaper, right?
Yes. They were fuzzy images on the CCTV footage. But you could see they had little bowl haircuts, and for the trial, they had given him a burr haircut where he looked like a little criminal. And you couldn't have come up with a worse haircut for a child who's going to be accused of murder than a crim haircut, as if he's just going to be sent down. But that's the way he was presented, and I think that was the style for boys in that time. But the boy with the blonde hair, he looked more angelic.
I can see you remembering what they look like now. This is 30 years ago.
Yes.
But you never sketched them, though.
Actually, for myself, after it was all over, I thought, I'm going to make a sketch of these two for myself, just because
I can see
know
it
what they
still
look
in
like.
your head. I can see you thinking about that image in
yeah.
the court. It's extraordinary. I can actually see you remembering
Little
it.
angelic face. And now, of all things we know now, the one who was redeemable, and they actually made something of him, was the boy with the little horrible haircut versus the little angelic-looking one who had nothing but bad things going on, because he is basically, unfortunately, interested in children. And some of the things he was trying to do with Jamie Bulger lent that way. Some of these people, you can't stop them, the things they like to do. They always like to do that thing. And you, with all the will in the world, you can't train them out of it. It's their favorite thing to do. They love it. Whether it be serial killing, being a pedophile, murdering women for fun, or being a fraudster.
It's interesting because I think a lot of people would think that if you spend so many years, as you have, 10 feet away from some of the most serious criminals in our country, you'd like to think the thing that you might have gathered from that is, oh, we're all human, we all have a common humanity, no one is born evil. But it sounds like your predominant feeling is bad people continue to be bad very often.
So many of them think that they can get away with it again, or they're going to hide it, or this time they'll be good at hiding it, or they'll bury the body a little better way. Fred West was very creative with his body burying and his body parts burying. Criminals are really creative.
So there's a similarity between some of these very high-profile murderers in that sense. Is there anything else that they have in common when you're in the room with them? You've spent more time in a room with some hardened criminals than most people have. What do they share?
A love of what they do. A love of their favorite horrible hobby.
But is there a vibe about someone, do you think?
There's a vibe, yes, about some people I've seen in court, like the guy who was charged with the murder of a beautiful little girl and is in Wales, and he had long eyelashes, and he knew that he could go into a pub or something and flirt with women, and maybe they would be fooled into thinking, oh, this guy might be a good boyfriend. But then, of course, if they've got a child, then that was his real target. And in court, I found that he's looking around trying to catch my eye. And I thought, oh, forget it. They try to catch the eye of reporters as well. And sometimes they think that they're going to find sympathy or that someone will believe that they're not really that way.
Because they use charm as one of the weapons to commit crime in the first place.
Oh, yes. Criminals can be quite charming. That's how fraudsters can go as far as they go. And people want to think the best of other people. They want to be kind. Jurors want to be kind. There's so much that jurors aren't shown or allowed to know. And usually when they send the jury out because they have to have a legal argument in court, that's when you're thinking, I wish I could be in the court knowing what they're talking about, because as reporters and I get to stay in and hear what they're talking about, I thought, oh boy, yes, if the jury had heard that, you wouldn't have a hope in hell.
Yeah.
Because what they're holding back from you, they're trying to be so fair. They want you to think the best of this person. But what the jury don't know, at the end of the court case, if they do find the person guilty, then they can read out all their old history. And quite often, it's a history of doing exactly what they're accused of doing that you're trying to make the decision on. And you think, why didn't you tell me this guy always liked to keep a hammer in the back of his car and hit people in the head?
The answer to that is because, as you say, they're trying to be fair.
They want to be fair.
Do you think in the end the court system is fair? Because it sounds like what you're saying is no.
Well, the court system is, when you look at it for many years, you think, why not just let the jury and everyone know everything that the police have found? They're going to see all the evidence. The barristers are going to see all the evidence. Why not let the jury see all the evidence? In fact, if you all just see all the evidence as a group, it might be fascinating to know how would things turn out if the jury knew what the judge knows that he's not really allowed to let you know.
But it could be prejudicial, couldn't it? He keeps a hammer in the back of the car, therefore he did this, when maybe he didn't. That's why he's on trial.
However, if you look at as if, well, the judge has to be even-handed and the barristers have to be even-handed, do you think maybe jurors could be even-handed and say, well, it wasn't necessarily for this particular thing that he did, because he had these items in his car and he has a history of doing this, doesn't mean he did this one thing. It would be interesting to see if you could try.
What's the case that stuck with you the longest?
Rose West, obviously. And that I saw Fred West before he killed himself. I almost feel as if I know a lot of things that they did at their house that haven't even been able to be brought out and talked about in books and things, and the other people who are involved with them and their secret friends who went down there for these parties. There's so many people that probably could have been taken to court over that and connections with it, but they just didn't have quite enough evidence. I suppose that one was horrific, and also anything involving child murders.
You covered Ian Huntley, didn't you?
Ian Huntley, yes.
And that was a huge story nationally.
The child murders are very bad, and also you can see there's a pattern to these people. And that's the thing about some of these people, that it would be nice if they would just say, these particular cases and these particular people, they can never be let out. Some of these people are very calculating. Huntley and Carr, where he was fascinated with the little girls and he knew he could get them to come in if he said Maxine was in the house because they liked her and they thought, we'll stop by and see her. So he said, oh, come up and see Maxine. Well, she wasn't there. In relation to Maxine Carr and some of these other people, though, is how women can forgive a guy or overlook that he's doing a lot of really bad things 2 little girls or children, and they just want to get married. They just want to be in a wedding dress and marry the guy no matter what, and they'll say anything to cover up for him. You think, no, doesn't there become a point when you say, this man is a danger to women and you're a woman and he's probably going to go after you next, and if you ever have children, they're probably going to be targets too. Do you really have to get married that much? Pick another guy.
Because it sounds like listening to a lot of court testimony has made you quite cynical, but it also sounds like on issues like that, it's made you quite angry.
Well, there's nothing I can do about these things. You see these things happen over and over again, and it's not in my gift to do anything about them. And even a little drawing on your notepad of a face, that counts as a drawing.
As contempt of court.
Contempt of court.
Yeah.
And they've got big fines for that. Actually, what I learned is I don't need to do a drawing of someone in court to go out and do a drawing from memory. All I need to do is take written notes and a shorthand of my weird sort of nicknames for different parts of someone with maybe fried hair, if they've got frizzy hair, or a really bad perm. You could say, put their finger in an electric socket and was electrocuted. And that way, I don't have to remember that's what their hair is like. It's unforgettable to me. It's in my mind. It's the way I've remembered it, the way I've written down, like someone who has maybe a nose like a potato, or they're skinny as a skeleton, or if they're really good looking, you can just write, babe, black hair.
And another thing that's different to the States is you don't have a reserved pew in the court, do you? You have to fight your way to the front.
It's sort of hit and miss. Sometimes it's a sure thing. And sometimes you have to fight, you have to crawl, you have to slide under a table. You hit the ground. I don't care if mud's all over the back of my dress.
And you want to be close, presumably. You need to look in people's eyes.
It'd be nice to have a good seat. I have some bad seats. Sometimes people don't want to be seen, or they're all looking face forward, and you get a glimpse, like de Kooning, the artist de Kooning, who did the swishy colors of women. He'd say, paintings of women, he'd say, I'm a glimpsing glimpser. And I'm kind of a glimpsing glimpser too. I get a glimpse of somebody's face. You've got to see at least their profile. If they look to the side, that's it. You click it in. I've seen them. I memorize them. They're going to be in the sketch in that way. People wonder, why do I see all these profiles of these barristers and judges and defendants? Well, it's because I'm seeing them from the side view.
Mm. So talk me through what happens then. Where are you when you actually put pastel to paper?
It's nice when I can find a table to work on.
That suggests that sometimes you don't.
Sometimes there is no place to work, or you're like out in Belmarsh, in the magistrate's court in Belmarsh. They say, we don't have any more court cases today. We're kicking you all out of the building. There's grass over there, and some rocks, and you just I'll think, well, okay, I'll sit on the grass. It's not raining today. I'll be as fast as I can. And you just go with the flow. That's the way the news is, really. I think cameramen and women have to sort of juggle all that around. They're going to try and do a piece to camera, but it's about to rain, or it's windy and your hair's just flying off your head.
I guess I've just never imagined that the court... I've always thought the court artist was in the court, which you are, but you're not drawing. And then I thought, if you are perfecting a piece, it's at an easel. At the very least, you're sitting in a cafe, but you're squatting outside on the grass sometimes.
An easel would be too wiggly. I use great force when I'm working with my drawings. In fact, the great thing is if I have a floor or a table, I can put all of my pressure on those art materials. I use some very durable art materials that can take a lot of abuse. And the water-based sticks, I can turn them into watercolor and do a quick shadow with some kitchen roll with a squirt of water on it, with a little bottle of water I'd bring with me. Or I can just knock it out with all the pressure I can use on an oil pastel. And if I change my mind about something and I want to change something, these oil pastels are so thick, they're like butter. And I can cover up something I've done and make a whole nother change if I want to.